Namaste. Welcome back to Top Tarot Minors. And today I'm going to share with you some favorite Five of Cup cards and reflections on this particular card. So welcome. My name is Sadhana, and naturally I am a tarot reader and have really enjoyed this journey through each of the cards. I did a video recently called, it was all 78 cards. I talked about them, different ways to interpret them. So in this series, what I'm doing is sharing a variety of cards to explore the different meanings. So really in conjunction, these the one long video and then the series of individual videos might be a really good way to expand your understanding of the cards. And if what I'm saying resonates with you, I do offer tarot courses if you're not aware. And these come at a variety of levels and I want to say interests as well too. I also have a 8-part course called Tarot Through the Chakras. It is available. The pre-recorded lessons are available. And all of my classes come with extensive handouts and access to me, of course, should you have questions or request supplemental videos. So just know that there's lots of ways you can work with me. The Five of Cups. I think I want to start today with reading a little bit from, excuse me, the guidebook from Journey Through the Hidden Realm, or Journey into the Hidden Realm. And this particular guidebook is written by Barbara Moore. And I don't know if Julia had any... It's always interesting because when the guidebook writer is credited, of course, there was some conversation with the artist as well too. But this is quite a powerful Five of Cups card. You can see the powerful waves in the background. Hi, Laura. Namaste. It has been dark for so long, she thinks. Black and still and empty. She has used every ounce of her strength to hold back the storm. I think this is a really important sentence here. It's something that I feel is that moment when people come to me for support or, seeking out other spiritual mentors, counselors that can help with this important breakthrough. Though the effort has nearly killed her, she is convinced that it is better than simply sitting back and waiting for the storm. She feels the rumbling in the ground, the churning of the ocean, and she holds her breath, preparing for the deluge. Everything she has tried so desperately to avoid rushes towards her. Her heart feels so weak, and yet it is that very organ that created this storm. It thunders faster and faster, matching the rhythm of the forces that approach. Despite all her preparations, when the storm comes, it overtakes her. She is engulfed, enthralled, until she doesn't know where she ends and the pain begins. Fighting, it just exhausts her. So she gives herself over to it, letting it rush over and around and through her, letting her own tears add to it. She feels herself first battered, and then strangely cleansed. After it passes, she lies limp on the ground, grateful that, after all this time, she can finally let go. And that is the nature of this card. Do I have the courage to finally let go? When we look at this card in the energy of Golden Dawn correspondences and all of the decks you are looking at here are to some degree inspired by the Waite Smith Tarot, which is a Golden Dawn based tarot. The 5, 6, and 7 of Cups are the decans of Scorpio, which has a zodiacal correspondence of death, connecting to Samhain, Halloween. And I think this is, and I want to talk about this in the next couple of episodes as well, too, how the 6 of Cups and 7 of Cups, we can learn more about them by connecting to the energy of death. Something must be completely and utterly released in this card. Now, this is a 5, and all of the 5s are hugely transitional. This one, I would say, is the most emphatic of all of the 5s. When we look at it with zodiacal correspondences, it's hit 3 times by the planet Mars. In the decan, in the Sephira, and by the zodiacal sign. You are being pushed to your limits. And yet, this is the planet of the spiritual warrior that is inviting you to go on and go through. Now, granted, this lesson is not always as earth-shattering as I read in the guidebook for Tarot of the Hidden Realm. But I think I'm looking at the sort of more of a lightness in the Victorian Faerie Tarot here, but the ability to let go and not hang on to things is a real gift. And that can be very difficult for some people. And I think the 5 of Cups teaches us about letting go and the freeing energy that creates. And for a moment, we feel completely and utterly bowled over. But it will pass, and we will journey on to a lot more peaceful place. There is light in the 6 of Cups. The sun is there. We will, for a time, find peace and serenity and warmth. But can we? Can we let go? That's the question here. And we learned this from a very young age. And I think it's really poignant that this particular card was included in the Victorian Faerie Tarot. And that might not be a sandcastle on the beach, but that is that lesson when you have built an amazing structure of Lego or an extensive train track, and a neighborhood kid or somebody in the kindergarten class or a sibling comes along and destroys your structure. And so we practice non-attachment, letting go from a very young age. And of course, it's not easy. It can be quite earth-shattering. And it's funny, when I say that and I look back, how I might approach this differently today with my kids, and in the future with grandchildren, should it ever happen. Because it is practice, right? It's a practice of letting go. Now, this card takes on so many different kinds of energy. This one is from the Wee Moon Tarot, which is deeply connected to the health of the planet. And here we see a bowing, hi Kiki, we see a bowing down to the earth. And the deep grief that is expressed in the keyword here is for the planet herself and all that we have done to destroy the planet as a collective. Letting go, surrendering and knowing that she will heal herself. But more than anything, this card expresses that same sort of feeling from Tarot of the Hidden Realm, where the experience of release really does take something from you. I'm sure most of you know that if you have been crying for hours and hours and hours and hours, it really does drain your energy. And a lot of people choose not to cry because of that fact, that it takes so much out of you. But what I was saying is this connection to death and letting go, death, the tarot card, death, and letting go is a really important lesson. And the more we practice letting go, the less overwhelming it becomes. Because we understand it is part of a bigger process. Of lifelong learning and growth. This card, however, does indicate a period of grief. And I never want to downplay the importance of being in the journey of grief. And the feeling is one of being wet and heavy. There's a tremendous density to the energy of grief. And acknowledging that I am sad, acknowledging that weight, and being in the process of grief is part of the process of release and letting go. And I find that the deck, the horizontal deck that's in the foreground here, is a really good deck for processing grief. It's called the Low Rider Tarot. It's by Melissa Wotherspoon. It's a deck that's full of Dashan puppies. Low Rider Dashan Tarot. And because the little puppies are so darn cute, but the reality of their journey and the little stories that are included in the book are really heart-wrenching. And I think it helps us to empathize and to understand how important the journey of grief is. There's a few other cards I have out here today. I don't have the large version of this deck. This is a little boy who is not just emptying the chalices, but releasing the cups entirely into the water. And there are 2 full cups, I don't know if you can see them, on the top of the cliff. And what this reminds me of is sometimes the process of release has to be physical. We actually have to throw the wedding ring into the ocean, or we have to burn the old letters. And the actual process of letting go is a physical letting go that helps to move energy. So I think that's important to acknowledge. And yet, the tarot isn't always so heavy, and so I've included the Victorian Faerie and the Wisdom of Pooh tarot over here. But this also, it reminds me of something, and that is I don't even know if I want to go here, so I'm thinking about it's late at night and there's no more booze in the house. And so even though we've had a few drinks, we hop in the car to go and get some more booze, or we call a delivery service to bring some here. There's a desperation. Maybe this has to do with a food addiction. There is, even though there's no funds in the bank account, we use the last few dollars on the credit card to purchase another tarot deck. Five of Cups is also a releasing of patterns. And this can be a really hard aspect of this card to figure out in a reading. But I love the surrender. I mean, this is going to be one of my top 5 cards here from the Wee Moon Tarot, because regardless of the lightness or the heaviness that this card represents in your reading, this process of surrender is so helpful, so important. And often there is water and there is tears that come with. And from that, or through that release, and I think this is brilliant to see the growth in the 2 upright cups, that we will manage through this, and life will go on and new things will grow. And yes, those cups will always be there and be broken, and they will be a part of us, and they will be a part of who we are. The shadow of tarot, the shadow journey, of life isn't about leaving those horrible things behind and forgetting about them. It's about embracing them and saying, okay, this is part of what I've been going through. And now these are some tools that are going to help me to move forward. And so I focus on the growth, the beautiful flowers, the little baby lotuses that are growing in the 2 upright cups. Yeah, this is a heavy, heavy card. And just understanding that it gets hit 3 times by Mars is very helpful to understand why it's so difficult, and why I believe it's the most difficult of the 5s in the tarot. In the Northern Hemisphere, it also comes at a dark time of year, which certainly doesn't help things. Yeah. All right, so thank you for listening, and I'm going to share with you my top 5. So these are definite ones here, and we'll go like this. I think I'm going to include the light visions today, which a little bit of a surprise, but let's go with that. All right, move those all into the camera. All right, so left to right, top 5 5 of Cup cards for today are: left, Tarot of the Hidden Realm. The small card there is Light Visions. And then the Wee Moon Tarot, Lily White Tarot, and this is the French version of Victorian Fairy Tarot. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon for the 6 of Cups. Take good care. Namaste.